I talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she is required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. MAGA Republicans, extremism. MAGA Republicans, extremism. Donald Trump is not normal. MAGA Republicans, extremism. Donald Trump is not normal. Extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. MAGA Republicans, extremism. Donald Trump, extremism. Donald Trump is not normal.
That's enough of that. Folks, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. What a day of SHTF crap. Number one, I want to come right out and go, someone bought me this shirt, and I don't know who it is or how they got it to me, but it's Nakatomi Plaza Christmas Party 1988. It's Warrior 12. An American flag, and I'm going to make some friends with this. I think after the show, I'll go out for some exercise. And Jolene says it's from her. This. Thank you, Jolene. I'm going to make lots of friends with this one. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Jolene, very much. I forgot that there was something coming a little bit late, but I thought, who the hell has my address? There's only a relative handful of people. Anyways, it's a great shirt. And it has one of my favorite lines of all time. And this totally applies to you, me, and prepping. When the cop, the dude, the jelly-eating, coffee-sucking, big fat dude cop in the car, he's really a lovable character. He's this big black guy, jovial and stuff. And he's checking out Nakatomi Plaza. And Bruce Willis like throws a body out the window or some shit, lands on the car, and then some other dude starts lighting the cop car up with I think a frickin' minigun or something, and he hightails it out of there backwards and goes over a big thing, and Bruce Willis goes, "Welcome to the party, pal," and they become really good friends. Great scene, great characters, great movie, and it's a movie that did a couple of things. It took place in Nakatomi Plaza down in L.A., for the movie during Christmas time. And it became a Christmas movie, even though there's nothing Christmassy about it. It's got German heist and terrorism and screwball cop loser and bitchy wife and stupid people. And it introduced Alan... whatever the hell is it? Rick, help me out. Alan, but Uman's lips are moving. What's his name?
I don't remember.
Guy that played Hans Gruber. Okay, all right, Uman. Uman's here, by the way. Alan Rickman. Great actor. Okay. Anyways, folks, shit has hit the fan. And I loved it. I mean, I don't know where to start today because there's so many good places to start. To confirm, you want your confirmation bias. You want to feel like you're smarter than the rest of the idiots because you're a prepper, you're a patriot, and you knew this shit was coming. Today was confirmation day, right? Now, where do we go, right? 8-time loser. There's only, I think, been one other loser as big as Kevin McCarthy, right? And it's been like over 100 years since anyone's lost the run for Speaker of the House. 8-time loser, Kevin McCarthy. He fails for the 8th time. President Donald Trump picks up more votes for Speaker than Nancy Pelosi. That was amazing. Today, Representative Matt Gaetz out of the great rebellious state of Florida stands up and votes for Donald Trump. Holy cow, heads spun Liberals lost their shit. It was incredible, folks. Incredible. I tell you, man, what a freaking day. Okay, let us continue. Here's my thing for McCarthy. And this has been a lot of fun. It's been an absolute lot of fun talking about what should happen. McCarthy needs to give it up. He's not going to win it. He should allow someone else to get in there. This McCarthy, get the fuck out of the way and let a couple of other people run against themselves and see if someone can get a majority vote. Right? Unbelievable. No rhinos. America's patriots are saying no more rhinos. Finally, this is amazing. And it's not all of America, folks. It's those people who finally are showing some fucking backbone, some spine, some guts, and some balls and saying, no, we're not going to vote for McCarthy. Not going to do it. Now, this was amazing. And more from Matt Gaetz, who's turning into one of my absolute all-time favorites. He says, quote, we can't trust him around actual power. He sells it to the lobbyists. He's speaking of McCarthy, folks. He's speaking of the rhino Republican McCarthy because he tried to negotiate. He's trying to buy votes with negotiations. We can't trust him around actual power. He sells it to the lobbyists. This is a beautiful public revelation that Matt Gaetz revealed. McCarthy is a fucking carpetbagger. He's a rhino sellout in D.C., and he's there to serve himself. Good on Gaetz. Now, this was another blast to the face of McCarthy and the rhino Republican establishment that's part of the Uniparty in D.C. This is beautiful. Fucking beautiful. Cat Turd. Remember Cat Turd? Cat Turd from Twitter. Cat Turd from social media. Brilliant strategy to promote conservatism, patriotism, true Americanism. Cat Turd. He says of this about McCarthy, he won't budge an inch to conservatives, but we all know he'll fold like a cheap tent to the Democrats. That is truth, folks. That is 100% truth, and thank you to Cat Turd. It's just, the fight is continuing, folks, and it's going to get more, I think, pronounced as we go. Now, you would think, listening to these scumbag rhinos and commentators and political scientists and talking heads on TV, that only a few, just a small handful of Americans don't want to see McCarthy in there. Well, get this, folks. There are prominent Republican leaders, not GOP leaders. The GOP leaders are the rhinos, like Mittens Romney and Mitt Romney's daughter, who runs the GOP at the national level. Scumbag, well, I'm going to call them treasonous terrorists, because that's what they're calling you, folks. Anyone who supports not electing McCarthy is a treasonous, insurrectionist, traitorous human being. It's not us, folks. We're the good Americans. And now dozens of prominent conservatives, folks, are coming out and supporting the members of Congress who will not vote for McCarthy. That's right, folks. It's getting stronger and it's getting some momentum. Keep doing what you do. Prep. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Prep to action. Your action is to write, call, email, text, carrier pigeon, smoke signal to Washington, D.C. representatives and tell them, we don't want McCarthy. We don't want a rhino. We want a true America First candidate. I don't even want to use the word make America great again. Just America First. We know who the fuck you are, right? Now, it's not one or two, but dozens of conservatives, folks. Dozens of conservatives, including a former attorney general for the President Ronald Reagan administration, attorney general. He released a letter, folks, in support of the 20 House Republicans who are standing between sellout scumbag carpetbagger McCarthy and the Speaker of the House position. Right? Some of these signees include, and these are names blast from the past and some from more recent times. How about Edwin Meese III? Yeah, that's the Attorney General for Reagan. Ginny Thomas. That's that white chick who's married to Clarence Thomas, who's been taking a bunch of arrows and slings and being called a racist, and Clarence Thomas is a racist, and everyone's a racist, right? She's the president of Liberty Consulting, folks. How about Jim DeMint, chairman of the Conservative Partnership Institute and a former U.S. senator? These are not no names like this guy. These are real public figures and speakers for truth, justice, and the American way. Now, folks, right now is the time to take back Congress, the House of Representatives, for the people. Right? The grand old party, the Republican Party at the national level. And Kaz and everyone, you've been screaming it from the rooftops until your blood pressure is high, that it's a uniparty sellout thing. And it is. It is. Within the Republican Party, there are patriots. But the party itself, as an organization, is a sellout organization, a uniparty. It's combined with the Democrats in function. But now is a time to show that distinction, and it's happening. All Republicans across the country are going, wait, why are the Republicans fighting in Washington? You mean there's a problem there? All the Republicans aren't on the same page? Why not? So they can be educated now. Now is your chance to educate them. The GOP, folks, the Republican Party has been exposed as a rhino institution comprised of sellouts, political prostitutes, who are all working for the Democrats and the globalist agenda. So please support the congressmen who are standing up and being strong. I mean, look at these big names: Meese, Thomas, right? And many others, folks, dozens are putting their names out there, their good names, their fortunes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're not afraid anymore. And if you want to be afraid, well, you shouldn't be afraid about speaking up. You should be afraid about what is coming for all of us, whether you speak up or not in the future. Unbelievable. I mean, this fight is beautiful. It is unbelievable. It's also beautiful. Representative Byron Donalds went after that awful bitch, Cori Bush, right? And he challenged her to a debate because she accused him of supporting and perpetuating white supremacy. Oh, by the way, Representative Brian Donalds is black. So bam on you, Cori Bush. What a bitch, right? So he went after her. Folks, they're going to use race. They're going to use religion. They're going to use age. They're going to use gender. They're going to use everything they can to divide us. The one thing that should unite America and may unite the Republican Party when all the dust settles, or at least on this battlefield. It's not the war. It's the battle for the Republican Party. And then we can battle for control of Congress, and then battle for control of D.C., which is going to take years and years and years. Don't kid yourself. And then control of America and free the world. The one thing that can unite us is not gender, because there's men and women. It's not religion, because there's a couple of them, at least. I'm pretty sure last time I checked, a couple of religions. You can't get united that way. You can't get united under race, because there's black, there's brown, there's persons of color, there's Asians, there's people who live in the Orient, wherever the Orient's at, right? We've got all of these differences. It doesn't mean we can't get along, but that's not a uniting factor, right? The tribal, everyone who looks like me, we're going to be in our own party. No, that's not a uniting factor. There's a bunch of white-looking commies out there. It is freedom that is going to unite America. So let them throw all their bullshit, white supremacy crap out there. Let them throw all their, other bullshit in the air and try and divide us. It is freedom that we can get behind. That one thing that was missing from the 2016 election, that way back then I pointed out and said, why the fuck isn't anyone, including Donald Trump, bringing up the idea of freedom, liberty, our rights, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. Where's the discussion about our freedoms? It was non-existent. And then the freedoms started really being attacked. And by the end of his term, his presidential term, Trump was talking about the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. It was like, whoops-a-daisy. Freedom is the one thing we should all be able to get behind. And it is more important than race or gender or age or anything else. Economic status, social status. Unbelievable. Yeah, so the nuclear nomination for the day, folks, came from Matt Gaetz, who voted for Donald J. Trump for Speaker of the House. Now, it wasn't just a joke. You see, I believe, and someone correct me if I'm wrong. Ooh, man, keep a close eye out. Jolene, keep a close eye out. I don't know who the heck that was. Better turn that off. Don't they know I'm busy? Okay. Get my train of thought here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the representatives, the House of Representatives, can nominate anyone they want, and they do not have to be a member of the House of Representatives to sit and serve as Speaker of the House. Someone help me out there. Someone look that shit up. Thank you, Jolene. Get your questions down below. I'm going to do my monologue, and then I'm going to do your Q&A questions. What is going on and what has got your attention? Folks, Donald J. Trump, Speaker of the House, that would cause a tsunami. And again, you guys know how I feel about Trump. Do something right, Trump, and I will support you and commend you. Do something stupid, like nominate and support McCarthy, and I'm gonna fucking criticize you. Right? You can't say great job on saving that bus full of flaming penguins, and you saved those children, and you rescued those nuns from drowning, and then you can't go out and rob a bank the next day and have everyone go, but he saved the nuns and the penguins, and well, nuns are penguins, and the children and the zebras and the alpaca. You can't do all that and then go rob banks. So Donald J. Trump, for all the good things he's done, you can't do stupid things on top of it. Not allowed. I will criticize the ever-loving shit out of you because I'm not that shallow and stupid that I will look past obvious fuck-ups in order to go, oh, he's a savior, no. Anyways, the nuclear nomination. And Steve Bannon also said, yeah, I think that's a great idea. So there's starting to be an interesting movement out there as more and more we're voting for Donald Trump. Now, I'm going to take this into Washington politics and Republican politics. The presidential candidate or the president himself of either party, the Republicans or Democrats, is supposed to be the leader of the party above the national organization, which just has a bunch of bureaucratic asswipes like Mittens Romney's daughter. No. Right? It is the leader of the party is the president or the presidential candidate. So if Trump is going to be continue to get a lot of attention for Speaker of the House, he can be appointed there. If you are a GOP, right, rhino piece of shit, that's a POS, GOP POS, right, in the House, in the Congress, and you don't vote for him, what are you saying? That you're a never Trumper? Oh, we had a lot of Republicans that claim that shit, right? They're going to continue to paint themselves and make themselves targets, folks. It's going to be a shit show and a half. A shit show and a half. So stand by. I think they're actually moving on to their ninth vote. Ninth vote. Now get this. I mean, this is never ending, folks, because it's a battle for the Republican control of Congress. And then there's going to be a battle for the Republican control of the party. Is it going to be a bunch of sellout scumbags? Or is it going to be the American people? Freedom, liberty, conservatism. Tucker Carlson, God bless him, went after that pile of crap rhino Dan Crenshaw, because get this, folks, he called his colleagues, that is, other Republicans, terrorists for not voting for McCarthy. And then when Tucker ripped into him, right, he says, hey, grow thicker skin. So Crenshaw says, grow thicker skin. First off, a terrorist is a criminal and an enemy of the state. They use violence and the threat of violence to force people to their political will. Is anyone using violence in Congress? Is anyone using the threat of violence in Congress? Then they're not terrorists. To call anyone that in your own party is a massive insult. So we're going to start throwing massive insults. Fuck you, Crenshaw, you terrorist, cyclopean piece of grabastic shit. Go fuck yourself and take an LGB buddy with you to properly school you on how to do such an act. And remember, folks, Crenshaw was bested by a little girl at a campaign speaking, a town hall meeting. A little girl who he ended up insulting for pointing out his weakness. Yeah, he's the eye patch guy. He wants to look all dignified with his fucking eye patch. Fuck you, Crenshaw. Calling people terrorists, calling us insurrectionists. Oh, it does, folks. Right. On Fox and Friends, the host called the Republicans who won't vote, would not vote for McCarthy, called them insurrectionists and saboteurs. And they claim treason. Treasonous. When it comes to treason, who dat? Who isn't living up to their oath? That's treasonous. Who is leaving the border open? That's treasonous. Who is voting for a war to support the most corrupt administration, institution, regime, country on the planet? Who dat? Who's treasonous? An insurrection? Not voting for a sellout, carpetbagging, dirty-kneed pile of shit. If you don't want to vote for that guy, you're an insurrectionist. You're trying to take over the country using violence. These people, folks, are out of their fucking gourds. That's all they've got at this point, is to make that claim. That claim. Unfreaking believable. And Jolene, this fucking shirt makes me laugh. Oh. Right. And again, I'm going to say McCarthy needs to step aside. Hey, look, dude, your congressional district representing that you represent elected you. Fine. But your district elected you doesn't mean the rest of us have to choke down all of the bullshit lies and just he needs to remove himself and allow a candidate that can represent America, the America First platform, the Republican real platform. We're going to see where this goes. It's going to go, right? Fucking Crenshaw, what a loser. Anyways, folks, this is important. Integrity. Integrity matters. Right? I am not running for Congress. I'm not running for president at the moment, but I may later. John for president. But for now, no. And integrity matters. Not selling out matters. Never selling out. That matters. And Matt Gaetz, folks, once again, he vowed to never, ever, ever vote to McCarthy. And he called him desperate after a closed-door meeting. Now, Gaetz says he's going to vote, quote, all week, all month, but never for McCarthy, right? When you meet these scumbags behind doors, folks, if you've ever worked with an attorney or worked with someone in business that's just dirty as fuck, you get behind closed doors and they reveal themselves, who they are and what they're about. Integrity matters, folks. Integrity matters. Now, Sean Hannity, who when I first heard him like 20 years ago on the radio, I thought there's a very intelligent guy. So how can it be that a very intelligent guy like Hannity doesn't see what a scumbag McCarthy is? So he is a sellout. Hannity is a fucking sellout, folks. He attacked, full frontal assault on Representative cute little Lauren Boebert because he wouldn't support Kevin McCarthy, or she wouldn't support Oh, yeah, folks. These people are showing us who they are. In this fight, we're going to find out who is Republican, who is not. Now, get this, folks. All of the mainstream media are taking a dump. Even Fox News. And they can't afford to give up. Tucker Carlson. He's the only one that makes any sense at all. Right? Any sense at all. The rest of them are a bunch of sellouts. In fact, the GOP elite, that means, Senator Turtles McConnell, of course, Kevin McCarthy. All of the GOP rhinos out there, Mittens Romney, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They are now threatening the 20 who will not vote for McCarthy. They're threatening the conservatives to either vote for him or be stripped from their committees, and that next election they will be primaried out of office the same way that Kevin McCarthy got rid of a Republican, Madison Cawthorn. He got rid of him. He made sure that during the primaries he didn't get any financial support and that he was campaigned against and smeared so that he was, slaughtered in the election. Oh, it matters, folks. So fuck you to the GOP and the Rhino leadership on this. They all get a big F-U. And I'm not afraid to say it. They have earned it, folks. They have earned it. Right? Unbelievable. I've still got news stories up on here, right? Byron Donalds ran against McCarthy. Of course, he didn't get as many votes because McCarthy's got all of the rhinos behind him. But this is on. It's absolutely on, folks. Remember when Fox News was half conservative? Well, it never actually was, folks. It never was. Right? They came unglued after McCarthy was rejected 3 times. That was, yesterday? Now we're up to 8. They're going to have a meltdown, and this is absolutely incredible. Incredible, right? Now, this is important. I want to get on this. I've got so much shit to talk about. All FBI agents are lawyers. In order to be a member of the FBI, you've got to be an attorney. So, an FBI agent is going to get probation. He's going to get probation. He's supposed to get probation today because he destroyed evidence in an Arkansas political trial. I thought tampering with evidence, destroying evidence, interfering with an investigation, obstructing justice in an investigation, a trial. I thought that was a fucking crime. Now it's just suspension. Hell, by next week, you're going to get a pay raise for doing that. Where do I sign up for that? Look out, folks. There is so much corruption out there at the federal level, right? Well, in Wisconsin, the Republican Assembly Speaker, Robin Voss, Rhino, has been accused of suppressing election fraud evidence. I wonder if he's going to get a suspension. Where's the FBI on this? Oh, we got so much to talk about. I've got World War III news for you as well. But I'm not going to have time to get to that. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. You guys will let me know. Oh, by the way, Tim Robbins, actor. I loved him in Bull Durham. It was a good baseball movie. Had Kevin Costner, who likes baseball movies. Tim Robbins, just one of these amiable, funny, doofy kind of guys. Oh, Shawshank Redemption was his biggest movie. Anyways, he said COVID, cerveza bug, COVID, that stuff, Jim Jones juice, has become a, quote, new religion. Well, Nakatomi Plaza, Tim Robbins, welcome to the party, pal. Also, welcome to the actor welfare line, because you are not going to get hired to do anything ever again in Hollywood for saying that. Just so you know, right? I'm running out of time in my segment. I know. I'm going. So dumbass Joe Biden, the White House, are shitting all over Russia, who wants peace. The White House rejected Putin's Christmas truce and called it a, quote, cynical ploy. Is that how you make peace? Does Joe Biden talk about Iran that way and the Ayatollah Khomeini? Does Biden speak openly that negatively about Xi Jinping in China? Or has he even ever talked about the North Korean dictator up there, Kim Jong-un? No, he hasn't. What about all the communists in South America and Africa that are absolutely destroying their countries? Does the White House and Joe Biden cut them down and humiliate them publicly? So why do it to Russia and Putin? Well, I tell you what, it's because they want a war, folks. They want a war. They want a war, right? Zelensky, that's right, Voldemort Zelensky in Ukraine. In fact, yesterday I saw a car. It had not one, but two. But wait, there's more. There we go. 2 Ukraine bumper stickers, and they were good size. They were like 4x6. Huge Ukraine flags on the car. I thought, boy, you're a double dose of dumbass. Anyway, Zelensky says Russia's, quote, new mobilization process for a major offensive is now imminent. And I would love to sit down. No, I wouldn't want to love to sit down with Zelensky. I'm afraid he would probably grope me or something disgustingly sexual coming from that little pervert. I would like to Zoom meeting with him and say, duh, you idiot. What did you and what did NATO expect would happen when you screw with Russia and start sending bombs and saboteurs, terrorism and missiles into Russia and especially under Russian military bases? What did you expect? You expect Putin to back off? No, he has mobilized and deployed his hypersonic missiles. They've publicly admitted, folks, to putting him on a frigate, a warship, which tells me that they're also deployed on mobile launchers. They're also deployed in their submarine fleet, which is massive and very technologically advanced. I say that because I don't have a submarine, so they must be much more advanced than me. Yeah, what do you expect, Zelensky, you fucking moron? They're pushing for World War III, folks. Totally. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop right there where I'm at, and I'm going to say, let's do the Q&A. I want to hear what you are thinking about so we can talk about it.
Are you ready?
So many news stories, so many. All righty, here we are. Second half of the show. Jolene, who do we want to put up first? And it's Sally Sue, none other than Sally Sue. And she says, does this mean they won't do any other business as long as they're tied up with this speaker vote? Well, yes and no. Can they do other business? Oh, of course. But who's going to lead, right? Who's in control? Who's going to organize? Who's going to swing the gavel? Is there a Speaker of the House pro tem, temporary? But this is typically the first order of business. So until it's handled, don't expect any other business. Now, what is the business of Congress? What is their job? Their job is supposed to legislate within the narrow confines of the constitutional authority that they have been granted. They don't have all expansive, unending power to reach out to every corner of America and control it and dominate it and squish us into their box that they want to make us work in. No. Congress has some very limited authority. But they can't do that. They won't do that until they figure this out. And I say, bring on the stalemate. Bring on the fight. Keep it up. Don't quit. Don't give in. Don't give up to these rhino piles of shit. Because all they're going to do is sell us out. McCarthy has been lying, bullshitting, bribing, threatening, extorting, and every other thing he can short of violating the law, and I'm not even sure he hasn't done that, in trying to convince other Republicans, these holdout patriots who want the government in a small, confined box where they can't hurt you and me. He's trying, and he's not getting it. Good. I want him to continue to try and bribe people, lie, cheat, steal, make an ass of himself, let the people on TV make an ass of themselves, let politicians make asses of themselves. And I want an America First, pro-America, all-American candidate in there. I really do. It's a great topic. What else can they do? Well, they could try and do stuff, but who's going to vote on anything? Who's the leader? I mean, what if we end up with a Democrat being elected? I doubt it, but some rhinos might do that. They might go nuclear stupid. Nuclear, that's treasonous to the party, not to the country, but to the party. But I do believe that, voting Democrat is treason because they hate America. And putting people who hate America in charge of America, how fucking stupid is that? Thank you, Democrats, you dumb fucks. Okay, Jolene, let's see what we've got next. And it is Mikey G, who is number 2 on today's Q&A. He says, making more laws every day, spending more money every day, we should pray for a government shutdown. Absolutely. The less they do, the less they can spend. And I think where they spend their money, I really believe that where they spend then how they spend their money and who they give it to, I believe that's a violation of the Constitution. They're taking my money against my will. It's not apportioned. No, it's a graduated progressive income tax, which is unconstitutional. I think it's actually been ruled as such, except America is no longer operating under law. It operates instead under policy. That's right. Political policy is what governs this country because we're in a national state of emergency and have been since 1932. And that was never revoked. So the government's like, we got emergency powers, and they're screwing us over. Anyways, Mikey, thank you very much for your support. Semper Fi to you, and continue to spread the word and tell people, hey, if now isn't a good time to pay attention to the Republican Party and what's happening, when is a good time? If now isn't a good time to pay attention to international military actions, when is a good time? Biden hands a country over to a bunch of fucking terrorists, the sworn enemies of America who have sworn to hate and kill us. They want to just hand that shit over along with $85 billion in high-tech weapons as well as low-tech weapons. They don't want us to have fucking BB guns in America, much less AR-15s, sporting rifles. But they're going to give full automatic weapons and ammo to a bunch of terrorists who are a bunch of uneducated, brainwashed, backwards ass freaks. Oh yeah. Thank you, Mr. Miskinnis. I'm going to have to look at that again later. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Information came through the back channel. Let's do this. Who do we want to talk to next? Who is up next? It is none other than Kevin McCarthy, and he says, making history. Just teasing, it's Ooman. He says, Kevin McCarthy making history just the way he was planning, or just not the way he was planning. Yeah, by looking like a buffoon. He is being exposed for what he is. Now, the mainstream media, talking heads, other politicians, they can all try and cover for what this truly is. This is the repudiation and the rejection of a scumbag who has held power over other representatives. He has held sway over them, controlled them, right? The minority leader, the House whip, all of these political stunts and shenanigans, these assholes, folks, have been throwing our country away for the last 100 years plus. And the people have been growing sicker and sicker and nauseated over it, you and I. And now there's enough gumption. Remember when you and I sat right here on the Prepared Mind channel, arms crossed, and we said, You know what? We need to get some people in there, and they need to fight in D.C. In D.C., that's where they need to fight, not here. They don't need to come on this channel because we don't talk to that people. We need people in D.C. to fight up there, to leave us alone in our states, in our counties, in our cities, in our homes. They need to be fighting in D.C. and leaving us the fuck alone. That's where the fight needs to be. Otherwise, it's going to end up in the street out in front of our homes. So God bless them. They're doing the Lord's work. They're fighting the good fight to reveal, oh yeah, the Lord's work, truth, fact, righteousness. I think, ooh man, don't. It's not going to be a huge discussion on righteousness, but it is a righteous fight, and it needs to be held in D.C. because that's the seat of the problem. Right? We're not going to win back our country, our freedoms and liberties at the national level if we fight it at the state level. That's not where the fight is right now. The fight is right where it's at, and it is incredible because we've got enough people that you and I voted to get into D.C. to take the fight to them there. And they need to keep fighting and quit selling out. So we need to support them, period. Support them. What they are doing, standing up for America first, standing for the people, not for corporations, not for big pharmacy, not for the Democrats secretly, right? Done. All right, Jolene, who do we have next? We have none other than Heidi. She got 4 Heidis tonight. Thank you, Heidi. She says, I can hardly believe that Russia wants peace and we want war. It's kind of a head scratcher, isn't it? Kind of a head scratcher that Russia continues to talk for peace. Now, folks, in a war, the objective is to make the enemy surrender. Understand me. War is not always about destroying shit and killing people. That is what is done to make the other side surrender. You show that you're mightier, more powerful, then you're going to keep breaking their shit and that you're going to keep killing their people until they surrender. So there has to be enough pressure and it has to be so obvious that they're going to lose that a nation will surrender. Now, Japan intelligently surrendered after 2 atomic bombs and the American military, the Navy and the Marine Corps, moving from island to island to island back towards Japan. The Japanese people were absolutely terrified of the Marines. They were absolutely terrified of the Navy and absolutely terrified of the nuclear bombs when they hit. So before we got to Tokyo, the emperor surrendered. Now, on the other front, if we want to call it that, the other theater of war, right? The Nazis didn't give up until the Army and the Russians made it to Berlin. And even then, and to this day, the Nazi party has not properly surrendered. Surprise, surprise. Right? But that's another story. The point being, Russia wants peace. Why? So they don't have to continue to lose their troops, endanger their people, and spend their treasure on a war effort. So they will always lob a bomb at Zelensky and then say, give up, because they understand what war is for. It is not for making billions of dollars for the military-industrial complex. War is a process used to make your enemy surrender and get your way. Well, if you and I did that, it'd be called terrorism. But for them, it's national interests, right? It's in their national interest to have a war for national security. So yeah, Russia, they'll always offer peace. And that's when you say, okay, we would like to talk about peace. So Russia comes to the table and their enemy, whoever they may be, comes to the table and they discuss the terms of peace. So Russia sits down and looks at Zelensky and says, do you surrender? And Zelensky says, I would like to surrender. Let's see the terms of the peace accord. And so Russia says, this is what we offer. We'll stop bombing the fuck out of you and we will not invade Ukraine. These are the things we'll do. And in return, what are the things that Ukraine, will do? Sometimes it is giving up territory. Sometimes it is paying money. Sometimes it is other concessions. with regard to what wealth or mineral resources, etc. That negotiation is where you decide not to go to war. Now, interestingly, as a kind of a side note, but it is a legitimate associated tangent. If you remember the movie Braveheart, where Chatham goes to the battlefield and meets with the Scots, the Scottish lords, and the king's men goes out, and the Scots go out, and they meet while the armies are behind. And what they're doing is negotiating for peace rather than fighting each other and dying a very painful fucking death at someone's sword or under the hooves of a heavy horse or, a cavalry charge, whatever. Being slugged in the head with a fucking mace, right? Or stabbed with fucking arrows. So negotiate peace. So what does the king offer? The king offers to the Scottish lords lands in England in exchange for fees and taxes on the promise that they'll leave the field of battle and not come back. So if the Scots agree to that, these lords get all kinds of money and power, and the people are spared a painful, bloody, disgusting death. Well, William Wallace went out there not for land and riches and for himself, but rather to buy freedom. And the king wasn't offering freedom, right? Chatham, the king's men weren't offering freedom. So what happened? Right, he insulted the hell out of them. They went to war. And that day they won their freedom. And every other time they fought in those battles, they won their freedom. Folks, if you want your freedom, you're going to have to politically fight for it. Once again, I don't violate terms of service or community guidelines and recommend anything harmful or dangerous, but I will let you know that the word fight is involved. We have to fight for this every inch of the way. And every battle for freedom that you win doesn't mean you've won the war. You've just won the battle. For example, in the state of New York, the New York Supreme Court has ruled that a New York gun control law is unconstitutional. That is a piece of freedom that is secured. But the battle is not the war. Russia wants peace, you bet. The other side, not willing to give in. Nope, they would rather fight some more, kill their people, have their property destroyed, their wealth lost, in the hopes that they get to be the one that says to Russia, hey, Russia, you want to give up? You want peace? You surrender to us. Think about it, folks. Ukraine versus Russia. Ukraine versus nuclear weapon Russia. Who's going to surrender to who? If this is about who is going to win the battle, the war, right? Who's going to outlast the other one? Ukraine needs the rest of the world to support them and give them goodies, or they're going to have to lose. They lose by attrition. A lot of wars are won that way, by the way. Who can hold out the longest? All right, let's move on if we shall. I wax long on this sort of thing. We have Mark, the prepared Klingon, and he has a question. He says, who would be the right candidate to be president for the United States of America? Is Donald Trump finished? I do not believe Donald Trump is finished. I think that Donald Trump could run again, that Donald Trump could win again. Donald Trump, at this stage of the game, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is the most leader-like out of all the Republicans that we know of. He is the most charismatic or likable person. Arguably, and I know anyone could argue, and I don't feel like fucking arguing, but who else is standing in front? Who can draw crowds of tens of thousands at one time? Who will stand for days and days in the rain to listen to Mitch McConnell? Is Mitch McConnell filling super stadiums and arenas and parks? No. So I believe Donald Trump is going to be the presidential candidate for 2024 unless there is another candidate who is both intelligent, charismatic, and has a squeaky clean record. You can't run for president and expect to represent the people if the powerful scumbags in D.C. know your dirt. You've got skeletons in your closet. So I don't think he's finished. The right candidate for the president of the United States of America is someone who is very charismatic, charming, handsome, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The same person needs to be very intelligent, knowledgeable, experienced, wise. The same person has to have a squeaky clean record. They can't be a scumbag. They can't have awful behavior in their life that would disqualify them. You know, like talking to a girl in high school and asking her to a dance, and then this girl accusing you 50 fucking years later of something, right? Kind of like Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh, who is accused of, I don't know, setting his nutsack on someone's head, teabagging someone at a party in college with no evidence, no proof, but they'll say whatever they want. Unbelievable. I don't know who the candidate's going to be. As things stand at this moment, though, Donald Trump. All right, let us do this, shall we? Jolene, what have we got next? We've got about 9 minutes on the clock, and it's Heidi. And she says, one of the unpleasant realizations of old age is that the battles I thought we won when I was young must be fought again and again because we just don't learn from history. Yes, please, Jolene. Now, to answer Heidi's question, or address this statement she made, it became an unpleasant realization for me when I was younger and I discovered maxims of life, of law, of truth, of everything, right? A maxim is the maximum grasp of a philosophical concept. I thought, why doesn't everyone else see this for what it is? The truth of it, supported by the facts, right? Confirmed by critical thinking and analysis. You say, I thought we won when I was young. I thought we won 250 years ago when we defeated the English. I thought we learned our lesson with the Civil War, that you don't use an economic issue to attack other parts of the country and then claim something completely different as the justification for going to war. I thought we learned that. I thought we learned about supporting our enemies. I thought we learned about allowing treasonous, traitorous scumbags into government and to influence us. Right? We should have laws against all of these bad things, yet here we are. You and I, though, Heidi, and all of us, we, normal people, learn from history. I mean, how many times have you taken your hand and put it on top of a hot stove, whether it's an electric one or a gas one? How many times have you set your hand on there? That is a major disaster to set your hand on a hot stove. And why don't you do it? Why haven't you done it even once? Because you've gotten other minor burns from hot water, from flames, from hot metal, from coals, and you learned what heat is and you don't touch it. So anything that you know is remarkably hot, you keep your fucking hand away from. And for those of us who are a little slower than the rest, and you've put your hand on a hot stove, you'll never do it again. Now, in high school, just so you know, I worked at a restaurant. We used to have a contest. We had that big old hot griddle, you know, like when you see in the McDonald's commercials where they're frying burgers. And we'd take our fingers and see who could put their fingertips on the griddle and hold them there the longest. Kind of like doing the thing where you take the forearm against forearm and you put a lit cigarette between them and see who lets go and pulls away first. Man probably is familiar with that game. It's to see who gets burned. And you'd see the winners, they would have like the little burn marks on their forearms. That's the prize you get for being stupid. America, countries around the world, their prizes for being stupid are destroyed infrastructure, ruined economy, national debt, impoverished people, low standard of living, because they're not learning the lessons, or they're ignoring the lessons that should be very easy to see. That's where we're at, though. And sometimes, right, learning those lessons has to be done the hard way again because, well, you know, things are different this time. Really, things are different this time. Before we get to the last question, I want you guys to play a game with me. It's called Take a Wild Guess. In Massachusetts, not Alaska, not Texas, not California, which is the third largest state in the union, not the Dakotas. Massachusetts, tiny little state, tiny. In Massachusetts, they had 3 police officers die within 4 days of each other. Guess how did they die? Suddenly. Suddenly dying is not an explanation as to how they died or why they died or what caused their death. It's a description of the process of the dying. They suddenly died. That's not the reason for dying, right? If I just keeled over right now, you wouldn't say, yeah, he was killed by the suddenly. He suddenly died. 4 days, 3 police officers died in the tiny, shitty little state of Massachusetts. Take a wild guess. Now, 2 of the officers were older. They've been on the force for, I think, 20-something years and 17 years, something like that. That's a long time. So they're probably in their 30s or 40s. But one of them was only 24 years old. They weren't shot. They didn't get run over. They didn't have sudden deceleration trauma from jumping off a bridge and landing on a concrete highway below. Nope. Deceleration trauma. You guys are supposed to be laughing. Yeah, anyways, these guys, they died. What is it the Massachusetts State Police? These are state troopers, folks. What is it that the Massachusetts State Police did to all of their officers? They required them to take the Jim Jones juice. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Take a wild fucking guess at that one. Okay, Jolene, we've got another one. Who is it? What do they want to talk about? It is the Charlanator who says, Dr. Campbell put out a video on how a person is more likely to get cerveza bug or test positive the more they take the Jim Jones juice and the boosters. This is coming from a University of Ohio, she thinks, study. There have been numerous studies, Charlanator, in the United States by various institutions, some collegiate, some private, some publicly funded, as well as from around the world. Right? They're studying it now in Japan. They've been studying the whole time, by the way, folks. It's just they released their results. They'll study 500 people, 1,000, 10,000. They'll study people who died suddenly. They'll review autopsy reports. They have, folks, charts and graphs. How old, gender, race, prior health conditions, whether or not they're juicinated. All of these studies happen. And they go, okay, now, how many people are out there that have this shit, this COVID? How many people out there have taken the Jim Jones juice that have contracted it? And so it seems now that this number of people who have contracted cerveza bug in relative size or percentage to the overall population, as time progresses, let's just say the screen here represents all the cerveza bug cases out there. And so when they first started, people they got the Jim Jones juice, they were about half of the people, right, who got cerveza bug. And they're like, see, okay, it's half and half. And then that number started to grow. And so this area over here, it started to get pushed away. The number of people who are purebloods who have not gotten the Jim Jones juice still don't get it. But the number of people who have gotten the Jim Jones juice, gotten the booster, they're continuing to be a bigger and bigger percentage of everyone who's getting it, indicating that if you take the Jim Jones juice, you are more susceptible to catching it. you're less likely to be defended from it. Isn't that the exact opposite of what getting that is supposed to do? We were told it was a letter V, letter A, letter X. We were told that. Yet, what is science proving? Where is that little guy? Where's my favorite little guy?
Was it a mistake in so many states and so many localities to see schools closed as long as they were?
Well, I don't want to use the word mistake.
But did we pay too high a price?
There will be deleterious collateral consequences.
Deleterious collateral consequences. I know what a consequence is. I know what a collateral thing is. Well, what's deleterious? Why not use words that everyone can understand? Instead, he wants to sound like he fucking knows what the hell's going on. All right, I got a message from someone on Subscribestar. It is Silver Eagle 78. And he says, hey, John and crew, thank you for all you do. Been thinking on your program last night, and you are correct. We have to cue everything, the left and the right. Sometimes I see things before it gets big. So one day I say something and I get laughed at. And a few months later, there it is. I thought I was going crazy. I'm a 9/11 vet. My choice. After I got out, I learned about 9. From then, I started becoming a history buff. I've watched this country get torn down. This is a long, long letter. I want to thank you. There's a lot in here about spirituality, the Constitution, and what unity was in the Army, the big red one. Pow! Nice. Semper Fi, brother. We're all learning. Right? We all need to make a stand. We all need to stand for something. We need to be intelligent, moral, decent, good people. And my freedoms have never hurt anyone else. Right? Why do they have to take our freedoms? They're the ones taking and trying to destroy us, not us. We're just trying to live free. When I'm free, I don't hurt anyone else. When when they take my freedom from me, now I'm a victim of them. And what happens? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. There's so much in your letter, by the way, about the Book of Enoch, the Smithsonian. I just can't share it here. We just don't have the time, and I don't want to start the very provocative topics because our plates are full. But that doesn't mean we stop learning. Anyways, I'm glad that you woke up. I'm glad you learned your lessons. I'm glad that you're taking that path through life, learning what you can, and of course, taking a stand for what is right. Semper Fi to you. Semper Fi to everybody on the Prepared Mind channel and the R Syndicate Network at, folks, subscribestar.com, as well as the preparedmind.club on YouTube around the world, folks. Literally, this broadcast goes around the world. It may even go to the moon, Mars, and beyond. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Semper Fi, Godspeed, God bless America. If we can save America, we just might save the world.